In that first meeting, Jalen Withers, 19 points, 13 boards, game high and season high for both of those numbers for Withers. Josh Pastner's starting lineup is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Lance Terry did not play in the first meeting between the two teams. He's in that starting lineup that Coach Pastner has used for the last 7 games for the Yellow Jackets. The opening tip controlled by Georgia Tech in the white, Louisville the traveling red. And we thank you for sticking with us after most of you just watched Clemson defeat NC State 96-71, and the Tigers improving to 13-5 in ACC play. Foul goes against the Cards. Ron Groover, Mark Schnurr, Mike Palau, our officiating crew this afternoon at McCamish. This is Terry. Ellis defending him. Working inside of the paint. Franklin was blocked. And finally forces it up on the rim.
Nice play by
Huntley Hatfield.
Yeah, nice play by Franklin. Huntley Hatfield played great defense. Franklin not giving up on the play. Interesting to see. That's a matchup that I've been watching, you know, and looking forward to this afternoon.
Javon Franklin, the senior, gets us started in the opening seconds of this one. Working it around the perimeter. Ellis driving open lane.
It's a great drive by Ellis. He nearly comes up with the steal for Georgia Tech. You're going to have to give him different looks, because when we highlighted, this is a guy, again, playing just as well as any guard in the ACC as of late.
21 points, a game high for Ellis in the most recent game on Monday for Louisville, a loss on the road at Duke. Coleman fires a 3.
And for Georgia Tech, you want to be able to move this Louisville defense. Again, going east to west, you want to shift it. They've got guys out there that can knock down that shot. Again, you see Georgia Tech fall back in what looks to be a matchup 3-2 zone.
Coleman's now made 47 threes on the season on the weak side for Louisville, and Mike James was there and ready.
Offensive rebound is one of the things Kenny Payne talked about for this Louisville team. If you're Georgia Tech, when you're in scramble mode, you got to turn and put a body on those players.
Yellow Jackets are 11-17 on the season, 3-14 in conference play, and 10-6 overall on their home floor. Kelly from the corner, too strong.
Good contest by Withers. Kelly, you want to run him off of that three-point line. Made him put the ball on the floor.
Double team on Ellis. Almost produced the turnover. Coach Pastner and Coach Payne talking to Ellis. Coach Pastner wanted the turnover instead.
The goal is when you've got a trap, you always want to defend. You see Franklin get his hands on there. Late whistle right there. Almost can sympathize with Josh Pastner. Looked like Franklin may have had his hand on his arm.
So Javon Franklin picks up the foul for Georgia Tech. Louisville's 4-24, 2-15 in conference play. Won last Saturday at home against Clemson for their second ACC win, 83-73, snapping a 4-game losing streak. Withers didn't get the bounce, try to follow his own miss. Good hustle by Withers. And they're going to get Coleman for the foul for Georgia Tech. While we have a second, let's check out today's keys to the game, brought to you by your local Ford dealer with Brian Oliver.
Tom, I'm going to tell you that for both teams, it's important that you set tone. And for Louisville, you want to be bullies in the paint. You want to be able to attack the paint, go to the offensive rebound. For Georgia Tech, they're a team that you want to create early offense. The key for them offensively is can they get to 70 points?
Withers at the free throw line, redshirt junior from Charlotte, North Carolina, just up the road. 78% of the season for the Stripe, Jalen Withers. Louisville as a team right in the middle of the pack from the free throw line in the ACC. This is Coleman stepping into the 3-ball.
What looked to be a turnover by Kyle Sturdivant turned out to be a wide open 3 for Debo Coleman. Again, for Georgia Tech, you want to get pace. Even if they score, you want to not have to face up against that half-court zone or man-to-man from Louisville.
48 threes now made on the season for Coleman, who grabs the rebound, starts the break. Withers up on Kelly. Most dangerous Georgia Tech player. Franklin now. Kelly hit the deck after the three. Withers fell as well. Ellis waiting for reinforcements. Tries to drop it inside, and he does successfully. The Trainer.
And Tom, that was set up by Ellis pushing the pace. Trainer coming back. Georgia Tech's got to do a better job of getting back because Ellis is going to push that pace and try to get them to early offense whenever he can.
Terry's the cutter in the paint. Over Ellis.
Lance Terry's the guy also that he's going to look to try to get into that lane. Can shoot the three ball, but he needs to get downhill, try to get into the mid-range early.
Terry averages just over 9 points per game this season. Got his first basket of the game right there. Struggled at Pitt. He was 0 for 4 and fouled out of that game. Played just 15 minutes. And a double dribble violation against the Cardinals.
Yeah, we always talk about the fact that Georgia Tech wants to touch that paint. Lance Terry comes in. Georgia Tech up early by 3. It's here.
Kelly for Georgia Tech.
We talked in the open about him having a career-high 24 points in that loss against Pitt. And when you look at those numbers, career-high also in 6 threes. For Georgia Tech, I feel like their offense is going to go when they can get him established because he's their best three-point shooter. Getting him off along with Debo Coleman will allow them to touch the paint a lot easier.
Kelly also had 16 points rather, in the losing effort on the road at Louisville. The teams played on February 1st. It's a 10-point win. Louisville's won 8 in a row in the series at home. They've won 13 of the last 14 against Georgia Tech with the basketball right now, and Coleman, who's connected on a couple of threes early in this one. Loss on Tuesday on the road at Pitt, 76-68 for Georgia Tech. Sturdivant. Shot clock down to 7. Pass in tight quarters. Nearly knocked away from Franklin. Spins to the rim. Got a fistful of metal and got fouled. Huntley Hatfield.
When you see Georgia Tech realizes that when they get into the paint, they don't have another option. Sturdivant gets down there. Good defense by Ellis. Then he lobs it up there to Javon Franklin. And again, if you're Huntley Hatfield, you just stay solid. And basically, when you have Javon Franklin, he's a guy athletic enough to go and try to put it right in the rim.
Great look from right behind the backboard. Franklin in his last 6 games, Brian, averaging a double-double. 14 points, 11 boards, and 61% from the floor for number 4 for Georgia Tech.
And I think it's his energy and the fact that you don't have to run a play for him. His shot blocking has definitely been a huge plus for them. And on the other end, a guy, again, athletic enough to go to the upper room, so to speak, to go ahead and knock down easy layups and then finish at the rim.
He's been very aggressive in the opening minutes of this one. Kick back out for 3 for the Cards. Lands has it for Louisville.
And that's what Louisville has to do for this Georgia Tech zone. Get into those gaps, force them to collect, and then make that next pass. And again, you saw a wide open three-point shot. Great pass back door to Kelly.
This is Terry at the other end. Misfires. Fight for the loose ball. James went to the floor for Louisville. Fed it to Ellis. Looking for the individual effort. The help from Kelly for the block. And that is off of Georgia Tech, will stay at that end of the floor.
And that's one of the things that Georgia Tech is going to have to do today is get back in transition, because we talk about Ellis. He wants to get downhill. You see 2 guys right there, Kelly coming up with that block. Again, you're going to have to keep him off balance because he is going to be in high pursuit all afternoon long.
Sidney Curry, 21 in red, has also come into the game. 6'8" senior, 270 pounds in the middle. That pass was knocked away from the fingertips of Trainer. Terry 3.
And again, for Georgia Tech, getting to early offense, Tom, is the fact you saw getting that ball, getting a deflected possession right there, coming back, getting an early knockdown 3 for Terry.
Terry's got 5 points in the first half, his first 3 of the game. Did not score in that loss Tuesday at Pitt. Shot clock's at 10 for Ellis. Double from the Jackets produces a turnover. Up ahead. Franklin couldn't handle it.
It's one of those unforced turnovers. You see Josh Pastor yelling at Kyle Sturdivant. You do well to get a turnover. And then that's the first turnover for Georgia Tech. You have to be able to capitalize on that, especially for a big guy like Franklin. Hold on to it. If anything, give him a chance to go get it at the rim.
7th year for Coach Pastor on the bench for Georgia Tech. 14th year overall. He's approaching 300 victories in his coaching career. Turn around from Lands.
See a little brush screen by Lands getting right into the lane. Good pass from him, and he's one of those guys, again, strong and athletic enough to be able to elevate over the smaller guards down low.
How about Lands? He's got 5 points, almost at his average of 5.8 per game. Perry on the drive and the miss, and Lands comes out of the fray. Ellis, quick first step.
How about
and
that?
plays it in.
Low by Ellis, and again, we talked about his ability to put pressure on the defense. Georgia Tech's got to do a better job of understanding that when he turns the corner, just watch how quickly he gets downhill, absorbs the contact, and then able to finish. Again, Tom, Ellis, man, in this last week and a half has been playing just as well as anybody in the league. Last 4 games, about 25 points a game.
And shooting 55% from the floor in that span as well. Driving and scoring and trying to complete the old school 3-point play for Ellis, the senior from Durham, North Carolina. Coach Pastor already pacing those sidelines. 3-6 at home in conference play for Georgia Tech. 3-3 in their last 6 games, but Coach Pastor told us, Brian, they could have won all of them.
Well, and in a lot of games that they came right down to the gut but just couldn't finish, and you see Waylon Moore come in and turn over. That's one of the things for Georgia Tech. You could not turn the ball over against this Louisville team because, again, that's one of the things they want to do is get downhill and try to establish getting that ball in the paint.
Vasili's come into the game as well for Louisville. Number 8 on the handle right now. Number 11 Rapid. Coleman going to pick up the Georgia Tech foul. It's the second one on Debo Coleman. Six points in the game for Coleman. He's the leading scorer so far for Georgia Tech. Ellis and Lands both have 5. James comes flying out of that corner. Couple of moves and then uses the backboard.
We've seen on multiple occasions from Lands with Georgia taking that 1-3-1 zone. He's been able to get downhill. The best way to beat a 1-3-1 is to get into those gaps. No one has come over in him. You've seen multiple occasions. Lands being able to get right to the basket. Good finish with his left.
James has 4 points for Louisville. The turnaround off the rim from Sturdivant. Work on the offensive glass, and Franklin, all the effort, nothing to show for it. Lands trying to shed his defender. Tried to save it, couldn't do it. Sturdivant 1-on-2 to the rim. Withers blocked it away. There was a whistle on the drive by Sturdivant.
Louisville on a 7-0 run over the last.
Georgia Tech.
And one of the things for Georgia Tech is that his shot blocking ability, you see the numbers, almost 2 blocks a game, 4th in the ACC, has given them an opportunity to turn good defense into offense because his athleticism has allowed them to be a team that can get those stops, get in the early offense. And again, when you look at the last numbers, I mean, look how big he is big over the last 5-6 games with points, rebounds, and those blocks. Well, 5 blocks on 2 occasions.
Also shooting 61% from the floor, doing it all. And I would classify him as bouncy and aggressive around that rim, Brian.
You know, occasionally, if you know what, after this, if he doesn't have a playing career over, he can go work for UPS. You get it?
Because he delivers, my man, right?
No, he's got ups.
Oh, he's got ups too. Okay. All right. Well, he delivers too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's been impressive. Almost 9 points per game, leading them in rebounding as well. Close to 7 points per game. Sturdivant is, in fact, at the free throw line. Foul was against Basili for Louisville, who hadn't seen action in the 7 games prior to this afternoon. So Kenny Payne throwing a little wrinkle in there in his lineup.
And one of the things that I see in this first half for Louisville, already 12 points in the paint. That was one of the things I think that they've got an advantage, especially with Georgia Tech mixing up their coverages.
56% from the line on the season for Sturdivant. You wouldn't know it from those two. Senior from Norcross, Georgia. Sturdivant's played a lot of basketball, Brian. His 108th career game. We're seeing that a lot these days.
I think that when you see with the COVID and then the additional years, you see Coleman get called for that foul. What probably would be his third foul. One of the things that Josh Pastner can ill afford because with it.
They gave it to Sturdivant.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Sturdivant there. Is that when you go back to Louisville and look at the team that they have on that floor, Sidney Curry is another one of those guys. Look at how massively built he is. Interested to see if Kenny Payne can give him a touchdown low because he's a monster in that block.
Curry is 6'8", 270, and a soft touch right there from Ellis.
I knew that Ellis coming out of the game would be for a quick blow. Third in the league in minutes played, about 36.
We get a whistle with Georgia Tech in possession. Just over 11 minutes to go in the first half. And we see why. So Lance Terry will go to the bench for some medical attention. Ellis got nicked up as well. So the officials are going to take a look at this one.
And you watch on this drive, and I think Lance Terry probably got caught right there by the elbow of Ellis on that pull-up jumper. Obviously, being right there, I don't look at it as being ill intent, but again, you see right there, he's drawing blood. You see both players being tended to.
So Ron Groover and Mark Schnurr, they just came over and talked to Brian.
And basically said that there was no contact, no malice in that contact, because again, if you look at the play, watch where he elevates, and he catches Terry right as he's going up in his shooting motion. And again, they basically did that. There was no ill intent. It's going to be a play on.
So no flagrant fouls involved there. Keywords being excessive, flagrant 1, extreme for flagrant 2, but no evidence to support that. Basketball play. So Ellis now has 7 points, Brian. That leads everybody in scoring in this first half. Not surprisingly, second best in the ACC. Terry's tough. He wants to stay in there, and he will.
I thought it interesting when we had a chance to talk with Louisville coach Kenny Payne. When he's talked about Ellis and the numbers he's scoring, he's always encouraged him to get everyone else involved early, and then after that, slowly look for his offense. That's kind of what we've seen here in this first half. Him trying to get everyone. We've seen Lance get a touch and some of the other players, and then every now and then you see him try to get downhill. Already the 7 points, an efficient 3 for 5.
He used the words patience and poise that he has shown recently. Not necessarily early on in the season, feeling like he had to do everything. Right?
Well, and I think that's where you've seen this team play a lot better, because they had to have some type of system in play where players are trusting the system and they're not as energetic, enthusiastic as I would like to say, to try to rush up shots and trust the system.
Trying to make sure we get the floor cleaned up. Bobby Cremins courts. Named after the legendary Georgia Tech coach. That was dedicated back in March of '03. And the Camish Pavilion has since been refurbished. Some early numbers. Only 1-3 for the Cards so far. Georgia Tech. And Coleman has knocked down a couple.
What stands out for me is the 14 points in the paint by Louisville.
Keep an eye on the shot clock. Inside of 10 now. There's Terry. He'll step back for 3.
Interesting response for Lance Terry again. Sometimes when you get a guy, you can see his own blood, kind of gets him going. And it seemed like he was hunting that shot. Interesting to see again as Georgia Tech has tied this ball game. How does that ignite Lance Terry and his Yellow Jacket basketball team?
8 points for Terry. Couple of made threes. Curry to the rim. Too strong. And Coleman possesses it. He got fouled. Lands and Basili were defending him and fouled him.
Again, you see this last time. See Terry realizing if you're going to pass under the screen, knocks down that 3-point shot. Again, this is one of the things that Josh Pastner said, that You know, at times they struggle to score, but when you get Lance Terry with his rhythm, Miles Kelly playing better, and then you know what Kyle Sturtevant has picked up, this has allowed the Georgia Tech team over the last 6 games have been able to find better ways to score.
Keep an eye on that Georgia Tech shooting percentage. Just 29% on the road on February 1st at Louisville, and a 10-point loss in the first meeting between these two teams. This is Terry. Both sides of the rim as it bounces out, and Withers collects it. He really thought he had that one. Shot it right in front of us. Ellis doubled in the corner. Prior to the shot attempt by Trainer, double dribble.
But even before the turnover by Trainer, how about that pass by Ellis? Looked like he was already in no man's land on that trap. Having enough patience to be able to get that ball over past 2 other defenders.
Our broadcast position today is just to the left of the Louisville bench, and Kenny Payne right in front of us. So we are right in the middle of the action as Kelly saves it to Sturtevant. High arcing free.
See Kenny Payne encouraging his players to push the pace. That gives Georgia Tech an opportunity to get set up with that half-court defense.
Tied at 19, Louisville took an early 9-point lead on the road Monday at Duke. They would not stand up, trailed by 9 at halftime and lost 79-62. Withers stepping back. Deep into the shot clock once again. Ball did not hit the rim. And then tipped in. Trainer.
And J.J. Trainer is another one of those players for Louisville. Last 3 games, 13 points a game. He is long and wiry. You talk about with a little bit of bounce. With that offensive rebound and the putback.
Tied his career high with 16 points at Duke on Monday for Trainer. Withers on Coleman. Kelly in the corner. Lets it fly. Miles Kelly. First points of the game for the leading scorer this season for the Jackets.
And great find by Debo Coleman. Again, scouting report tells you that, you know what, you have to make sure that you keep Miles Kelly in your rearview mirror. Again, he's one of those guys, again, you can ill afford to let go going because he is very streaky. He scored points in bunches.
Averages just over 13 points per game. That is the best on this Georgia Tech roster. Louisville's made 5 of its last 8 shots. Went on a 10-3 run to take the lead. Georgia Tech getting back into this one. And Coleman goes high for the rebound. Up ahead, trying to run the floor. Was knocked away by Withers.
With a block by Withers, getting back in transition. It looked to be an easy basket for Jalen Moore.
Only Hatfield had it knocked away. Jalen Moore defending. Into the corner, Terry lines it up.
Payne encouraging his players to push the pace.
1-point lead for Georgia Tech. Into the corner, Withers. He hits a 3. Has a glance at the crowd as well.
Good penetration by Mike James. Again, force the defense to collapse. You got Jalen Withers wide open. You see Kelly with a quick response. And again, we talked about Miles Kelly and the fact that if he gets it going, Willard has got a quick trigger. See, neither team being able to actually pull away.
Miles Kelly now 67 made 3s on the season. Best for the Yellow Jackets. Offensive foul. Huntley Hatfield for Louisville.
Miles Kelly doing it on both ends of the floor. You saw him absorb that charge, and then again, come down, strike a pose, knock down the 3. Tech up by 1.
Left of the Georgia Tech bench to watch the action this afternoon. Thrilled to have him in the building.
Right now, Georgia Tech up by 1. Neither team has been able to expand this lead greater than 3. Interesting to see who's going to this last. You see great move by Lance Terry for the and 1. And again, I'm going to tell you, man, as a player, sometimes when you see your own blood, Tom, it lights a fire, man, because again, you see that he's picked up his level of aggression. You see, again, coming down and attacks the big Sidney Curry. Not sure that I've still got the wonder of doing that, but coming in, absorbing the contact and the finish. Great finish at the rim by Lance Terry.
83% for the free throw line this season, Lance Terry. He doesn't miss very often. He's 30 of 36 from the stripe coming into this afternoon. Three-point lead, Georgia Tech. Curry backings out of the paint. Kelly comes away with it.
I'd like to see Sidney Curry take one more dribble down low. Georgia Tech is not having one that can stop him from getting to the rim. Don't want to settle.
Three-pointer from Coleman.
Again, what we've seen from Georgia Tech is that every time they get a chance to touch the paint, force Louisville to have to converge on the ball a little bit, get the ball out, and it's been Terry and then also Miles Kelly and then Debo Coleman. You see Georgia Tech already 7 3-pointers. You see air ball by Jalen Withers.
Sturdivant runs it up. Attacks the rack for Georgia Tech. And Kenny Payne wants a timeout. A 10-0 run for the Jackets.
How about a little bit of a hezzy by Kyle Sturdivant? Again, Georgia Tech being able to extend this lead. Anytime that they play good defense on one end, able to get downhill, you see a lot of the frustration by Kenny Payne. Again, you watch Kyle Sturdivant with it look to be almost like a little bit of a hesitation move. Gonna go right down and finish at the basket, give Georgia Tech an 8-point lead.
Sturdivant led the team in scoring in the first meeting February 1st in Louisville with 17 points. That was a 10-point loss for the Yellow Jackets.
You see over the last minute and 24 seconds, Georgia Tech on a 10-0 run. And again, for a team that traditionally struggles to score, already 32 points with 6 minutes left to go.
Georgia Tech averages just over 68 points per game. That's 13th in the conference. They've made 7 threes. And again, that's what they average for an entire game, Brian Oliver. That's 9th in the ACC. 7.2 threes per game for Georgia Tech during the course of the season.
This is where Louisville gets back in this game. Georgia Tech playing the man-to-man. I feel like Louisville can get the ball inside and try to punish them in the paint.
Lance, tough shots.
Lance has been that one that it seems like he's been really efficient. Georgia Tech has not been able to stop him from getting his thing. I think right now, 3 for 3, perfect from the field. Love the way that he's been able to break down the Tech defenders. A great pass over to Javon Franklin. Again, Kyle Sturdivant has done a masterful job being able to probe that lane. Louisville has to do a better job of trying to not allow him to get those easy passes.
Yellow Jackets have made their last 5 shot attempts. Double on Ellis, able to get it to Lance. Curry on Terry, offensive foul.
Good defense by Lance Terry, and when Sidney Curry gets that ball, he's got to check and realize a lot of times you get those little guards down there, they're pesky. They're looking to try to take that offensive foul, and then the last play again on Georgia Tech's end. Watch Franklin wide open. Again, for a big guy like that, throw it up at the rim. We talk about how bouncy he is. Kyle Sturdivant doing a good job of being able to get the ball for the big at the rim.
How about Sturdivant? 7 assists in the first half.
And here's the thing, is that he has been able to get Georgia Tech those wide open shots. Talk about already 7 3-pointers and how he's getting everyone else involved. It's his ability to be able to score. Louisville comes out with a little bit of a 1-3-1 of their own. That's got to be frustrating for Kenny Payne because, again, when you look at a guy like Miles Kelly that you know that shoots the ball real well, Georgia Tech's got 7 threes. You can't allow him to be able to just give you a little bit of a ball fake and still shoot an uncontested 3-pointer.
8 of 14 from 3-point real estate in the first half for Georgia Tech. Lands trying to keep pace.
And Kamari Lands is the one for Louisville. Again, we talked about Ellis has given them the offensive blow. Already 9 points. Still perfect from the field at 4 for 4.
Lands is the freshman from Indianapolis, Indiana, who averages about 6 points per game, already above that in the first half. Approaching the 4-minute threshold in this first half, and Coleman dragged the pivot foot, turns it over.
A solid defense by Lands that one time. Felt like Debo Coleman didn't have anywhere to go. Drug that foot right there. If you're Josh Pastors, you sub him out and bring in more. This is one of the things you do not want to do. You do not want to allow Louisville to get back in on careless turnovers.
Coach Pastner looking for a win against Louisville. He's just 1-8 against the Cards as the Georgia Tech head coach. And he's only a couple of years removed from an ACC tournament championship, with Moses Wright as the player of the year in the ACC. Lands. Long rebound, and Sturdivant able to grab it in the corner. Sturdivant mid-range. Lands had it for a second. Now gives it to Ellis. Ellis, a couple of feet behind the line. Easy board, Franklin.
You see Kenny Payne trying to encourage his team, not so much to get to the first open shot, to get to the second, third option. A lot of times you want to be able to get to your third option to force that defense to have to move and shift.
So Louisville is now 2 of 9 on three-point attempts. They're 10th in the conference three-point shooting. Franklin, little show and go. Watch out. Bit of an awkward fall for Franklin there.
About 2 or 3 more games for each team. For Georgia Tech, 6 of their last made field goals out of 7.
Georgia Tech is on the road Tuesday at the Dome to play Syracuse, and then March 4th at Boston College to finish out the regular season. And you know, I appreciate the candid nature from Coach Pastner during our conversation. He's looking forward to the tournament. He knows they're going to be playing on the first day in all likelihood, and wants to make a little noise there in Greensboro.
I've always thought that at the end of the regular season, you want to be playing your best basketball. Again, everyone wants to shoot for that coveted double bye, but for teams have got a nice little rhythm. Josh said that he thought that some teams that may be still needing a couple of wins to be able to get into the NCAA tournament may have a little extra pressure on them. So, but it's important for them to finish off strong right now. In a good position this first half, already up 11.
Ellis slipped down. Sturdivant the other way. Terry out of the corner. And Terry turns it over, coming out of that corner.
That last play down there, you see Ellis. Looks like he's limping a little bit. Not sure if that is a slight hand injury or not. And for Louisville, with a little bit more than 2 minutes left to go, they've got to get something in their half-court offense. Last few possessions have come up empty. Still feel like they've got a lot of advantage on being able to break Georgia Tech down, get that ball down low.
James, a series of moves, a pass to Sturdivant, who wears a different colored uniform.
Good weak side help by Javon Franklin.
That's 9 turnovers in the first half for Louisville. By the way, this Louisville program eliminated Georgia Tech at the ACC tournament in the first round last year in Brooklyn. It's a miss from Terry and a foul on the offensive glass. More in the vicinity for Georgia Tech. So the first against Moore.
Louisville, no made field goals over the last 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Again, going into the half, you want to have some kind of momentum if you're Kenny Payne's team.
Coach Payne, a member of that 1986 Louisville National Championship team. He's on the staff at Kentucky in 2012 for a national title. And they watch as Mike James advance to the rim.
And that's what they've been able to do. Get to the second and third option because, again, with the guys that they have that are athletic and long, they've been able to get to the rim. Nice drive to get downhill by Mike James.
Inside of a minute and a half to go in our first half of play. Georgia Tech has built a 9-point lead. Terry sent it back out to Kelly. Leaping over everybody is Franklin for the putback.
And you saw Franklin go up. That's 1-2. That's 1-2 when you go back and you consider those the 50-50 balls. You had 2 Louisville defenders right there. He just wanted it more, went up and got that offensive rebound for that finish to extend Tech's lead to 11.
Franklin's got 5 rebounds in the first half. Ellis for 3. Back iron. Terry. Moore. The layup.
Georgia Tech has done a good job, Tom, of being able to limit Louisville to one possession and then get those steals and get those easy opportunities. You see right now, Yellow Jackets up to 13. Moved by Jalen Withers.
Up and under like Brian Oliver back in 1990. MVP of the ACC tournament back in 90.
I'm going to slide you that cool 50 after we're done.
You got it.
But look out for your boy.
By the way, that tournament in 90 was played in Charlotte, North Carolina. 5 seconds, Brian Oliver. Sturdivant. Free throw line. Did him a double clutch, and he beat the horn.
A little bit of double clutch. Kyle Sturdivant put him on a skateboard. A little bit of a hesitation. What better way to end it? He said a little bit of a skateboard, put him a little bit of a hizzy. But you know what? Right there at the end, put it up to give the Yellow Jackets the 13 points. Generally, good things happen for them because they've been able to touch the paint.
Tipped out of bounds by Franklin. This is the 41st all-time meeting between the teams.
45 points for Georgia Tech, the most points in the ACC game this season. And that 45-32, the largest halftime lead for the Yellow Jackets.
That's what Coach Pastor told us. We've been scoring points. That's why we're in games. And we're 3-3 in our last 6. Wide open Huntley Hatfield on a rim bender.
And that was Ellis because he pulled 2 defenders over there, and that allowed the big to be able to go right there. No one came over to stop Huntley Hatfield, and that allowed him to get an easy basket. Good way to start off the half.
Louisville gets the first 2 of the second half. Teams have played 13 times as ACC opponents. Louisville's 11-1 against Georgia Tech in ACC play. Franklin, what a faking 2.
Nice move right there. As the old saying say, birds will fly. Franklin got him on a nice little ball fake. You see down low, Huntley Hatfield trying to get a little position down there.
11 points now for Franklin. That is off of Coleman.
Again, watch this move by Javon Franklin. Again, most bigs, if you show him the ball, he's going to jump and then being able to gather himself to finish.
14 times this season into double digits for Javon Franklin, the senior from Little Rock, Arkansas. Ellis on the handle. Knocked away from Huntley Hatfield. Whistle stops playing a foul against the Yellow Jackets.
On 2 separate occasions, you see Ellis trying to get the ball inside for a big. He understands that he commands so much attention. And then by last time, getting the ball over to Huntley Hatfield, drawing that foul. I'm sure Kenny Payne is telling his team that we got to get stops on one end and continue to attack that paint.
Well, Ellis is the senior from Durham, North Carolina. Played there against Duke on Monday and had 21 points. Led everybody with those 21 in a losing effort for the Cards on the road. Shot clock's at 10. Sturdivant, Huntley Hatfield get tangled up.
3 instances where Louisville has gotten the ball down to Huntley Hatfield. Georgia Tech has been forced to have to switch. That last time you saw them have Kyle Sturdivant down there doing a good job of recognizing the mismatch. Again, if I'm Kenny Payne, I continue to go back and try to pound that ball inside.
First-year head coach Kenny Payne for Louisville. Kelly brings it up. Goes around his defender. Up and under. Circus move, Miles Kelly.
But here's what set that up. You've got to honor Kelly as a 3-point shooter. Enough of a hesitation to get the big to bite on him, stand him up, and in the blow-by. You see it again. Kyle Sturdivant down low trying to hold his ground.
11 points for Kelly. Huntley Hatfield 3 attempts. Sturdivant over the top. Georgia Tech ends up with the basketball. So Kelly now 21 times to double-digit scoring this season, the best on the Jacket roster, and almost traveled and almost threw it away. Kelly. Money from 3.
That's got to be frustrating for Kenny Payne because, again, that's the one guy you do not want to have a lost coverage. Louisville fell asleep on that one. Georgia Tech has extended its lead to 8. And here's the thing, when you're a guy that can shoot the rock and you're 4 for 7, this is what you get because, again, you see him be able to blow by and athletic enough to be able to use the rim and shield off. And watch that acrobatic. It looks like Tom Wormy over at the LA Fitness getting his run on.
Church League. How about Kelly? 14 points, 4 of 7 from three-point distance in the midst of a 7-0 run. And if you go back, Brian, to the first half with about 7.5 minutes to go, it's a 30-10 Georgia Tech run.
And that's one of the things. And for Louisville, I thought that when they came out, they were able to find something on these mismatches. But you got to have enough discipline to make that extra pass and not try to bully the guards. Right now, you see Sidney Curry down there with Lance Terry. You got to find a way to get the ball and punish Georgia Tech with those mismatches.
Ellis varying the speeds on the drive. It goes out of bounds and off of Georgia Tech.
And good defense by Javon Franklin. A lot of times when you have that mismatch in Ellis, there are not many people in this league that can stay in front of him once he tries to get downhill.
33 points at Miami for Ellis in mid-February. 30 points and 10 boards and a double-double against Western Kentucky. That was a 2-game winning streak. They beat Florida A&M in the next game, and that's an offensive foul.
Good defense that last time by Lance Terry. And again, Mike James going to him. Watch how he shapes, gets his feet set right there. Takes it right between the numbers. And again, that is the classic offensive charge. Kenny Payne's team is that they've got to be disciplined. You're not going to get back into this immediately. You have to chip away. You got to get some stops and stay a little bit more disciplined with your offense.
Going against the team that's won its last 3 home games in Georgia Tech against Florida Tech out of Division II, Virginia Tech, and Notre Dame. Virginia Tech, the last ACC win, February 15th for Coach Pastor's team, 77-70 as they give it back to Louisville.
A little miscommunication between Kelly and Sturdivant. Again, for Louisville, spacing important. You want to shift this defense from Georgia Tech, force them to defend first 2 or 3 possessions, and then see if you can get downhill.
Don't forget this Louisville team lost by a point 4 times this season as Lance finds the target.
But again, that play by itself, you saw 3 passes, you shift the defense, and you get a wide open, uncontested shot. That's how they're going to be able to chip away at this lead and get back into this game.
Kelly slightly off the mark. This is Lance coming out of the corner. Gets the soft bounce, not soft enough. Second effort, Curry knocked away from him, and he got fouled in the process. Good offensive rebound by Sidney Curry, but as big as he is, that first time he went up, I didn't think he needed to try to brace for the contact. Miles Kelly picked up the foul for Georgia Tech, and we're going to take a timeout. Yellow Jackets after 52-37 lead against Louisville.
It would appear
by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. We start with the Cards, Brian. Absolutely. You see Tuesday taking on Virginia Tech and then finishing up at Virginia Tech. Excuse me, at Virginia. Virginia in a big game tonight against North Carolina. Carolina desperately needs this. Virginia coming off of that loss up at Boston. Josh Pastner. And Josh Pastner getting the last 2 off that Syracuse team. It's hard to win up there and then finishing in against Boston College. That last Wednesday had a huge win. Well, we have a moment, a message from Coyote Tractor.
In my experience, if you work the land, you got to be a jack of all trades. You got to have a little bit of optimism and a whole lot of get-go.
Sidney Curry is at the free throw line for Louisville. I mentioned that win against Florida A&M at home. That was his big game of the season. 19 points for Curry, who hits both free throws. He's a senior. Second year in the Louisville program out of Logan College in Illinois. You see Louisville changing up there a little bit. Going to looks to be like a 1-3-1 zone. Again, for Georgia Tech, you got to get into those gaps. You do not want to settle. Sturdivant. And a gap. He finds Franklin. Tried to drop the hammer. He got fouled on the dunk attempt. Looks like it's going to be Curry. And watch Kyle Sturdivant. Sells it with a pump fake. Curry put a Franklin. Curry a little late over there. That's one of the best ways to get through that zone. Get into those gaps. Put at the free throw line. You want to stay tuned for the fast break presented by your local Ford dealer, starring Brian Oliver. He'll give you his potential all-conference team, player of the year, coach of the year, all kinds of goodies on the Ford Fast Break.
If I got to slip you another 50, man, you're eating up my per diem. But I do appreciate that.
You're a major TV star, and it needs to be noted.
Well, that's what you call scraping the barrel.
But you know what? I started with you a long time ago.
Oh, you started with me.
Yes. And your ascension has been amazing, and I give you all the credit in the world for your work in after a sensational basketball career.
Man, you know what? Can I hit you with Venmo?
How about the move by Mike James earning some free throws?
Again, what I've said for Louisville is that when you get a chance to shift the defense and then you get downhill, they've got guys that can put the back. They've shown on different occasions that they can get into the lane. Now you've got to finish, but you've got to get some stops on the other end.
6 points in the game for James. First trip to the free throw line. He's an exciting freshman in this lineup for Louisville, no question about it.
Well, and you look at the length and athleticism. When you talk Kenny Payne, he said it's a process. Getting the guys to themselves to understand that you always don't take advantage of your option. You got the discipline, as you see right now, extending themselves on this defensive effort right here is something they've got to stop Georgia Tech and not allow them to get what they want in their first and second looks.
So James is up to 8 points. That's a miss out of the corner from Kelly and pulls in the rebound. Curry knocked away. Might have been the quick hands of Sturdivant to knock that one out of the clutches of Curry.
You see Louisville, you see Kane over the foul. I back all the way over here. And again, you see that last time. Watch when Sidney Curry gets there and you see a hand by D-Bell Coleman. I thought I heard a little skin over here.
Coach Payne was dramatic in his player. Louisville maintains possession. And the soft bounce is there on the move by Trainer.
I can't overemphasize Louisville. You see how they're able to claw back in this game. They have guys and they take advantage of the mismatches, get the ball inside. You've got to force Georgia Tech to make a decision where they're going to allow them to play one-on-one low post. They've shown that they're low.
Led by his 18. Terry slams on the brakes. Curry was waiting. Coleman misses. All the way to Ellis.
Another good defensive possession by Louisville. They've gone into that zone, even though Terry touched the paint. Coming up with another opportunity. Again, ball inside, forced them to adjust.
It goes out of bounds, and it is off of Louisville.
Kamari Lands had a great look right there. That time he couldn't go. You see Kenny Payne telling him, hey, son, you got to finish that one because it's wide open. You love the penetration. You just got to finish that.
12 points for Lands as he heads to the bench, and Withers comes in for him.
The last 3 minutes and 52 seconds, Georgia Tech without a field goal.
Terry up.
Recognition by Javon Franklin. Again, put the ball on the floor. You get that to just hesitate, get over the land. Again, Georgia Tech, amazing job of shooting the three ball. Our made threes game.
James has a advantage on Terry. Basket and foul. James with a powerful move.
And you know, that was a bully move because, again, when you look at this last one, watch Mike James realize, hey, I'm getting to where I want. I'm going to shy away from the contact. Lance tries to stay solid, jumps into him, puts the ball in the midair, and he sit back and say, hey, you know what? Got a little mouse in the house action right here. Give me the ball. I am hungry.
Double digits for James at the free throw line with make it 11. So Mike, who has started every game as a redshirt freshman from Orlando, Florida this season, 11 times into double digits and above his season average of 9.4 points per game.
You see both teams kind of find some things that are working for Georgia Tech. You see that three-point touching the paint for them has worked for them. Franklin
kept it alive. Coleman. That was Franklin over the top of Curry. Second on Franklin. He's one of the double-digit scorers for Georgia Tech, despite that foul, Brian.
Yeah, and here's the thing. For Louisville, this lead had ballooned to 18. They've been able to cut it down to 11. Again, go back to what's been working. Shift this defense, look to get the ball inside, touch that paint.
Elevates and hits. Watch out. Cards clawing their way back into this one.
And it's simple for them. They've done a better job of being patient for Tech. You have to get back and touch that paint. Louisville playing this zone right now. You see the Louisville fouls trying to continue. Georgia Tech, you stay disciplined, touch that paint, force the defense to hurt you a little bit, and get a hopefully uncontested shot.
Cards are on a 9-3 run. Kelly on the drive. That's an offensive foul.
You see Bobby Cremins over there saying, was that a foul? Again, you watch. Ellis, what looked like could have been on the side of him. Again, it's a good thing that I'm sitting there. But then on the other end, Ellis getting to that mid-range jump and able to elevate. A little bit of a momentum shift, Tom Wormy, for Louisville. Now we cut the lead to 9, possibly 8.
Ellis, their leading scorer this season, has 9 points on 4 of 9 shooting. So 3 of 12 on 3-point tries for Louisville in the game. Withers forces his way down the lane. Moore came away with it. Georgia Tech it down a little bit. Line. Franklin to the basket. Free throws upcoming. Time of court. Ellis has picked up the foul for Louisville.
They've got a lot of skilled players. For them to be able to cut this lead down to, what is it, 9 now. They've done a good job at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has not scored over the last 2 of 8. And then they've done a better job of being able to be patient and attacking the paint.
The Yellow Jackets have connected on 10 3-pointers in the game. Franklin's at the free throw line. They made 9 threes in the lost hit on Tuesday. Only 28 against the Panthers. I love that look from behind the backboard. That is my favorite shot. And I thank my director for taking that shot. Connie Dale.
Is he still here?
Jay Hoover's our producer. We're so glad that you're with us. Tom Wormy, Brian Oliver, the Georgia Tech legend. Privilege to sit with Brian Oliver inside of McCamish Pavilion on Bobby Cremins Court.
Louisville down by 11 again. Not like a broken record. You see Georgia Tech has gone into a zone right now.
What's a record? It was those old circular things.
I seriously dated myself. I'm going to get it 18-year-old.
A tough miss right there, Brian, from Trainer. That'd have been a huge bucket for Louisville.
Absolutely. And again, for Georgia Tech, get that success, touch that paint.
Moore in the paint.
See that last time, Sidney Curry, hand contact right there. And as strong as he is, he's going to come out with his 4th foul. Feel back in.
1:04 to go in the second half. Lance Terry trying to create some space. Foul against Ellis, so he's picked up a couple of quick ones. To his surprise and his head coach Kenny Payne.
You see a little bit of a it looked like there's a little bit of contact there.
Franklin at the free throw line. Inside at the miss. There's Ellis. Ellis misses.
I feel like that's a shot that Ellis traditionally can't hit, but Louisville, you've had a success in being able to get the ball inside. Would like to see him pull that ball out and run their set.
All of a sudden, Brian, both of the teams have gone a little bit cold.
Defense on both ends has been better. You see wide open shot by Lance Terry.
Lance on the run. And both points for Louisville. James wants it. Weak side Huntley Hatfield, and he got tangled up with Kelly. And Sturdivant was in the vicinity as well.
And this is where, for Louisville, the discipline comes in. That shot was a shot that, yes, Mike James shoot. But why not give your guys, your big guys, a touch inside? Because Georgia Tech in the second half has not been able to stop you when you throw the ball in, especially with this lineup.
That's the 4th personal foul on Miles Kelly, who has to exit the ball game, and Debo Coleman comes back in. Kelly with 14 points. Franklin leads the way with 15. And now Coleman has 9 as he comes in, and Huntley Hatfield's at the free throw line. First for the dead true.
Nice looking stroke there by Huntley Hatfield. You see Miles Kelly on the bench there, into Georgia Tech. How long do you keep him on the bench? Because again, the best 3-point shooter right now is that opportunity to in Louisville, so they have to only come for 1 of the 2 from the line.
It's 8 of 10 from the stripe as a team for the Cards. The difference is 10. We're inside of 10 minutes to go in regulation. Sturdivant. Georgia Tech just 1 of its last 8 shot attempts. Terry comes up short. Moore and Lands were fighting for the rebound, and they're going to get Lands on the personal foul.
And that's one of the things that Kenny Payne talked about, is that Georgia Tech's ability to get off his out. You see right there, Lands get caught. The jersey of Jalen Moore. It's got to be something just as simple as turn and put a body.
Taking a look at the previous play. Right now, Louisville has the edge in 8 for that rebound. So we've got Ron Groover and Mark Schnurr taking a look at the sequence, Brian.
And you looked at, maybe they're looking for a hook and hold, I'm not sure, but right there you see what could hold.
Yeah, you see Lands with a little bit of jersey there as he fights with Moore, and Ron Groover just came over and gave Brian the update.
And he did. He said it's going to be a hook and hold 1, and they're going to have a 2 shooting foul, and then they're going to get the ball.
So flagrant 1 against Lands. And now he's on the Louisville bench. That's a critical junction with 9:42 to go, Brian, and a 10-point difference.
Well, and because I thought that Louisville was doing a good job of playing defense that last time. You have to get that rebound, and the last thing you want to do is get caught flagrant foul.
So the play deemed excessive, the hook and hold. Moore at the free throw line. And the first Tech points, I mean, that's surprising. They have 19 per game, second in the ACC.
Well, and again, as well as not the 3-ball, the bench squad has not come in and given them what they've been used to. And a lot of that's been Louisville doing a better job of contesting shots and not allowing them to get the paint touches. But then again, Georgia Tech now with the lead up to 12, being able to extend this lead if they can.
Terry bounces out Moore. Huntley Hatfield did well not to foul. Changes shot. Ellis racing toward for Louisville.
And that's where he's most dangerous. Ellis is one of those guys, if you allow him to get you where you're backpedaling, you're in a team, because again, his ability to finish. Louisville has cut this lead down to 10.
Ellis has 11 points. 25 times in double digits as one of the leaders in the ACC, second in the conference in scoring. Works his way into the paint. Franklin.
Georgia Tech, it seems like there's a lid on that basket. They are 0 for 1 of them. No field goals over the last 5 minutes for the Yellow Jackets.
Huntley Hatfield was fighting with Sturdivant down low. Here's Franklin with a one-handed jam, soaring to the rim.
Well, I tell you what, Tom Wormy, if your offense, sometimes the best thing to do is get a steal and go and make your own.
Javon Franklin with 17 points. The last 2 of a thunderous variety on the slam by Franklin. Ellis his way between the ball out of stays with Louisville.
And watch Javon Franklin being able to get hand in that lane. We talked up that he could go way up the run to finish. Man, I used to fly like that long time ago.
Used to?
Long time ago.
17 points for Franklin, ties high. That's way above his season average of 8.8. All the way to the rim of the Trainer.
And I like the fact that Trainer all over the floor. And again, he's another one of those with a lot of bounce. Louisville with a good defensive possession. Let's see, right, a little bit back and forth.
The Cardinals trailing by 10. Javon Franklin today, Brian Oliver, 17 points, 5 of it on the floor, and 7 at the free throw line.
2 steals to go along with that in this second half when the Yellow Jackets kind of struggled to find a way to score. All inside careers, we talked to him and his energy. He said going down the stretch of this game that they're gonna need. Thought it funny for Jack as we talked about how well they shot the ball from behind the arc. 8 for come back to life a little bit. Only 2 for 9 behind the arc.
Just 3 of 14 on three-point shooting. Shot clock at 10 for Withers on the drive. Strong move. Left-handed move by Withers.
But you saw that move Withers when the ball reversed. As the defender came on, he had ripped through to be able to use his momentum to get to him for the blow-by and finish with the opposite hand.
3 at the other end for Kelly.
And again, Kelly comes off the bench. And we talked about with the Yellow Jackets that they had struggled. Only 2 for 9. Kelly comes back in. Huge 3. Extend this lead back up to 11.
17 points for Kelly. 17 for Franklin. 5 made threes, Miles Kelly. Shot clock to 5 for Ellis on the move.
Oh, man.
Franklin.
And here's the thing. Javon Franklin played as good a defense as he could. How about the finish by Ellis being able to use the rim to be able to shield off the acrobatic finish?
Louisville refusing to go away. Coleman uncorked the 3. Bouncing around to the miss. Ellis again.
Oh, that help by Debo.
Louisville maintains.
This is where when you were fighting on the road, you see the blow by right here, and then helps finish by Debo Coleman.
The whistle goes in.
See Mike James being called for that offensive foul. That's where you have to be patient, especially when you realize you have the advantage on a smaller player. Watch, he does the duck in on Lance. And then again, Terry does a good job of trying to get away. Not sure if that was enough to warrant an offensive foul. There's been a very physical game on both ends. You see both teams fighting for position.
Kelly down Franklin. Huntley Hatfield defending. Franklin trying to muscle his way to the basket. He got it back.
You see that last time? I thought they should have got him. See, last time you see the move by Franklin. Huntley Hatfield stand solid right there. And then you see they looked up the turnover. Louisville with a good opportunity right now.
Withers was stumbling. James got it back. Moves into the paint and lays it in. James.
And even though Jalen Withers could not come up with anything, that still forced Georgia Tech to have to converge on the ball. Last chance, Mike's put the ball on the deck, and now Louisville again with another run at it, cutting this lead down to 7.
13 points for James. Stir to handle. They go low to Franklin, who sends it right back out to Coleman. Shot clock's down to 8. Been trying to save it. The Huntley hat. Ellis turns on the Jets, puts it up on the rim, and the slam. A.J. Traynor.
Again, momentum shifting for Louisville, turning another off right now on a 3-run. He passed on one at the timeout to try to gather his troops. You see a lot of Cardinal fans in there letting them hear it. Again, you see Coleman sets it in, and then you're off and running. Ellis realized, got an acrobatic trainer there in the finish, upstairs finish. Louisville has used good defense, and they have been more patient and more disciplined as they're going off on this nice little run.
10 points now for Traynor after the alley-oop jam, and folks made that drive about 5 hours or so to come to it to watch the Cards and support their team.
There's a lot of Cardinal red up here in McCamish. And again, as of late, Louisville is giving their fans a cheerful. And it's been a game of runs. At one time, it seemed like that Louisville was going to get run out of the gym. Georgia Tech expanded that lead to 18, but Louisville has been able to chip away at.
It was 52-34. About 3 minutes into the second half. 10-3 run for Louisville.
If I'm in the huddle of Josh Pass and Georgia Tech, Go back to what you were doing to get that patience. You shift them left to right. You try to put the ball on the floor. You got to be more aggressive when you get that ball. And then for Louisville, you continue to stay up in them. You limit Georgia Tech on their first and second options. Get out and run when you can.
Sturdivant trying to get by Mike James, staying with him. A little fall away from Sturdivant. He was fouled and to the...
Nice hand by Kyle Sturdivant, being able to get down. We saw in the first half him being able to probe the lane and watch it right there, realizing he's there and doesn't have any place to go, gets himself gathered. You see James on the foul. Kyle, first half, big assist, a big bucket to cool on by Louisville.
2 for 2 from the line in the game for Sturdivant. Just 50% of the season, but again, knocks another one.
I feel like Kenny Payne understands got something right now that they can use for their advantage. They're going to run the ball a couple of times, run a screen, and look to get that ball inside.
They got Holly Hatfield's second effort. Moore came over.
Looks like they're going to call it. Oh, how about the block by Jalen Moore? Well, it looks to be great pass by Ellis. It looks to be an easy bucket for Huntley Hatfield. And then Jim Moore comes over and said, yours has been denied at the rim. Great side help, but again, good recognition by Ellis.
Incredible look at that block from right behind the backboard by our technical crew. And the hell ball arrow favoring Georgia Tech with the basketball and the lead by 8 as we cross the 4-minute threshold in the second half. Terry bounces out Moore with the follow, and he lays it in for Georgia Tech.
Well, Jalen Moore has come in 2 big plays for Georgia Tech, and it seemed that they were on the road, so 1 big block and then the putback to extend that lead back up to double digits.
Little 5-0 run from Georgia Tech. Lance trying to answer the 3 cards.
Big ball lands. Again, it was the penetration by Jalen Withers. Again, Georgia Tech fell asleep. Great recognition to get over. Got to get now. This could probably going to come down to the wire.
Made through Louisville. Georgia Tech has attempted 23s. That one's a miss.
It was a bailout by Kyle Sturdivant. I thought that he's better when he's trying to get downhill.
Ellis by Price hit the floor.
Georgia Tech, you've got right now, so you can take advantage of it.
Franklin to the rim.
Penetration by Kyle Sturdivant, realizing that they had the numbers.
Not Louisville. Nine-point game, Brian, with 2:42 to go.
You see Georgia being able to get down in the lane. Up by...
All right, Mr. Wolf, you're all set. Complete perimeter protection installed and 20.
No matter who you root for, we can all identify with the best in smart home security.
Ball on the floor and score at the rim. He's done it on both ends. And you see, not giving up on the play. He's got a high motor. And for Georgia Tech, coming up with steals. We've already talked about his athleticism. I feel like that's been on full display today. Yellow Jackets have had times where they sputter on offense, and he's filled in those gaps beautifully.
For Franklin, first year in the Georgia Tech program, making an impact. Transfer from Auburn and South Alabama. Coming off a 15-point performance at Pitt on Tuesday. Also had 8 boards. He has upped the ante this afternoon against Louisville.
But just a little less than 3 minutes left to go in this game. Louisville still got plenty of time. What you have to do is that you've got to get into your set a little faster than usual. Again, they've had a lot of success in getting downhill. You do not want to start jacking up threes. You still got plenty of time to get what you want.
3-second violation against Louisville.
You see right now, Louisville extending their pressure. For Georgia Tech, clock is your friend. You're up 9. Get the ball inbounds. Make sure you do not accept the trap. You do not have to rush. You see, wide open. See, trainer may call for a flagrant foul there. Intentional foul. Again, you see Kyle Sturdivant doing a good job of getting the ball up. We already talked about Javon Franklin. Looked like he was going to go airborne. You see J.J. Traynor not really making a play on the ball, wrapping him up.
So Franklin goes to the line. He'll have 2. Franklin's been a regular customer at the free throw line too tonight.
Up until then, he was 7 for 8 from the free throw line. 2 gimmies right there. Not much of a penalty for Louisville. Again, for Louisville, you got to get a stop. They've shown that if they can get a stop and get into early offense, Georgia Tech, you want to get the ball in and run some clock.
12 of 16 from the line as a team for Georgia Tech. Officials are looking up at the clock, talking to Josh Pastner. Seventh season as the head coach at Georgia Tech. Got it cleared up. Inbounds from Sturdivant. Shot clock's at 10. Terry Conley makes one from the corner.
Big bucket. I thought that Sturdivant accepted the double team, and he wanted that ball to shift. He was able to get Lance Terry, and Terry came over. Louisville fell asleep, allowed him to go in. That was a huge 3 for Georgia Tech.
4th 3 of the game from Terry, and the rebound, Franklin.
Again, as you go under the 2-minute mark for Georgia Tech, again, you want to make sure that you run some clock. Yellow Jackets 12 threes.
Franklin's working on a double-double, Brian. 19 points and 11 boards. Javon Franklin. 7th double-double of the year. He's on the dribble. Tried to drop it off. Huntley Hatfield intercepted. Ellis 3. Tip to lands on the baseline. Weak side Huntley Hatfield lost it on the way up to Franklin. Foul behind the play by Lands.
Sturdivant with a nice day. 9 points, 10 assists. Only 2 turnovers.
Career high in assists for Sturdivant. Considering that Davon Smith was unavailable again, Brian, for his 4th straight game with a right ankle injury, Sturdivant continues to step up in the backcourt for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, especially in the first half. I thought that when we talked about them getting those 8 threes, did a good job of being able to probe that defense in the lane and get those wide open. And then tonight, in the second half, did a better job. You see good lay-in by Ellis.
Final minute now after the Ellis bucket. He's up to 15 points. Lands also has 15. Near steal. Kelly grabbed it, and Lands had to foul him. Stops the clock. 51.9 remaining. Here's today's Coyote Tractor turning point, Brian.
And you see Lance Terry wide open over there. Knocks down that 3 when Georgia Tech was searching for a little offense. And he's had a huge afternoon. The Yellow Jackets making 12 threes today. That's definitely one of the bigger things for them, as what looks like they may be able to hold on and win this game.
Considering they only average about 7 made threes per game, a exceptional today. Terry, Sturdivant, Franklin, Kelly, all in double digits.
And you look at Sturdivant with a double-double, and then we talked about Javon Franklin with a double-double, 19 and 12.
10 of Kelly's 19 coming in the second half. James met in midair by Moore and a foul. Consider the fact that Georgia Tech had lost 4 in a row in the series, Brian. 13 of the last 14. And only 1 win against Louisville since it joined the ACC.
Well, when we talked with Josh Pastner earlier, he thought that, again, that they were playing just as well as anyone in this league because, you know, there are 3 games that they basically could have won. There's a game that North Carolina State that, for the most part, was right in it. And they played against a very good Pitt team and had Lance Terry in foul trouble. That was another victory that they could have. And he's shown, I mean, right now, Yellow Jackets at 80 points. Kind of felt like the magical number is getting to 70, and they found ways to score. And when you look at it, if you're going to knock down 12 threes, you've got your big and Franklin that could give you 19. That just shows that the Yellow Jackets have been playing better as of late.
Last win against Louisville for Georgia Tech was February of 2020 in a win at home, 64-59. It appears that Georgia Tech has done enough this afternoon to get another home win. That would be 4 in a row at home with this afternoon's effort. Trainer got the foul from Louisville, and Terry's at the free throw line. Georgia Tech trying to close in on its 4th ACC win this season and improve to 11 and 6. On their home floor, Bobby Cremins court. With Bobby Cremins in attendance, just to the left of the Georgia Tech bench.
Make sure that if I get a chance to holler at my man BC over there. He brought Yellow Jackets a little luck today on Alumni Day.
Certainly did. Recognized at halftime, along with other distinguished Georgia Tech luminaries. Final 30 seconds on the game clock. Miles DeVoe with the miss. Franklin came down with it. And now there's 20 seconds left. And the final home game of the season. Georgia Tech wants to empty that bench and get in Coleman Boyd, number 30. He was one of the seniors honored prior to this game. He and Javon Franklin.
Shout out to Coleman Boyd. I played high school basketball against his dad.
Wow.
Cal Boyd. Cal was a sharpshooter that played at Wake Forest. So I'm sure Cal is in attendance and very proud. As you hear the crowd tells him to shoot it.
He might get an assist. Franklin adds another 2. And that will do it. The final count, 83-67. Georgia Tech over Louisville.
Huge day for the Yellow Jackets. I think it was their 3-point shooting. Louisville was able to climb back into it with some good defense and get into the cup. Yellow Jackets had a couple of good runs in the second half to be able to seal this victory.
Javon Franklin, the double-double. 21 points and 14.